Since March 2020, some of you have reached out to us to share your questions and your struggles, your frustrations and your hopes as you've navigated this pandemic. But we also know that there are many of you who haven't reached out. Please know that we see you and we recognize your exhaustion. As we start another semester, we also wanted to start a conversation. We wanted to show you how your peers and the larger Tyndale community, the staff and faculty, are coping in this time, to celebrate their highlights, to empathize with their disappointments, and to learn from how they have maintained their mental health in this time. We know that everyone's experience is different, but we hope that this little glimpse into each other's lives will be an encouragement to you and remind you that you are not alone in this journey. Join us.
Well, I welcomed my first daughter and now second during the pandemic. So it's been really good to work from home and be able to share in their growth and all the little moments.
I get to be there for my family. So throughout the day, I get to be there with family members and help them take doctor's appointments, especially because I live with older adults. And that's honestly been really amazing.
Being in a community is the biggest pro. With a class, in a classroom, in a library, studying with other students, discussing and sharing with them. We had some online opportunities to do that. So in there we had some online events that students can come together and share ideas and talk about issues of studying or academic journey problems and so forth.
I've been able to get a lot of good one-on-ones with people over Zoom actually. So office hours become a lot more personal and people end up reaching out a lot more to connect one-on-one.
I'm able to focus more. I'm a people person, and so when I get around people, I immediately want to hang out or talk or, forget the tasks that are in front of me. So when I'm at home, I'm able to focus more and be more single-minded on the tasks that are in front of me.
I believe the biggest pro for me was that my house became the gateway for everything.
I was able to just stop and pause and take a rest out of the normal hustle and bustle that would be my life before the pandemic, and just to take time to reflect and to be still.
It became the gateway for work. It became a place where we would meet within our bubble.
Be able to just relax in your own space while continuing to work and not have the stresses of leaving the house or being even presentable, if you will.
Share, memories and thoughts and prayers and happiness, and perhaps needed the time also to grieve together over certain things.
Working online means I can do it from wherever I am. I can change up my location and I'm not tied down to one spot. Studying online means that some of my classes are pre-recorded, which allows me to watch them on my own time and prioritize to get everything done that I need to, as well as take breaks for myself.
I think for me, one of the biggest pros of the last 2 years is the lack of commuting.
I don't have to commute. I don't have to spend that time and money. I could make dinner while I'm teaching. I do that all the time.
So no need to any longer take, an hour into work for a day and an hour back in the evening.
Being able to sleep in. And by that, I mean waking up 10 minutes before Zoom lectures.
As a teacher, I've had to learn some new technology and reflect really closely on some of my previous pedagogical practices. And so I think I've actually found some things that will work going forward, even if I go back to the classroom.
I would also say that the cons, lots of cons.
Just the difficulty with connecting with people. Scheduling an online meeting, emails back and forth, or trying to find a great time to talk on the phone. Those are sometimes usual struggles, but they just became the regular struggle day in and day
out. Zoom fatigue can be real also. I think I've experienced that a few times over in the last 2 years.
I've never been more sedentary. So even if I try to take a walk every day, the fact that, I'm always chained to a desk chair because I have to read and I have to prep lectures on my computer.
Probably like the flip side of being accessible to your family. I find that when I am around them, I want to help out a lot more, which is good in theory. But when you have classes coming up and then you want to run errands, it definitely does distract me. Whereas when I'm at school on campus in a classroom, I'm fully dedicated and I know there's nowhere else for me to be.
A lot of the intangibles that would occur in a classroom setting, you know, the walking to get lunch or a snack or breaks, all those things have been lost. All of the very sensory kind of things that you would feel in a more three-dimensional place, that's part of what has been lost.
For me, the most difficult aspect of the learning environment of the past 2 years has undoubtedly been the social isolation, and with it, lack of interaction with others.
Lack of connection, and specifically new connections.
The forced separation.
Not being able to interact with people the same way or as often.
Not having face-to-face community.
I, like so many others, feel so isolated.
Living in isolation because I live by myself.
Being alone and as anyone else.
And so that breeds into the isolation that leads into so many different things that I have felt a big loss.
I started university online back in 2020, and it has been almost impossible to make new friends or connections.
That I was forced to be home, to be safe. The others were forced to be in their homes.
I have a family at home and that's great, but I really don't see anybody else very often.
You know, I thrive and I learn and I work best when I'm motivated by people asking questions or seeing how they're working through things or that they're taking in information.
Sometimes you get frustrated and sometimes it becomes just you and the computer and the technology and you don't have this human factor into it.
The lack of genuine conversation and face-to-face interaction has been a real challenge.
As someone who enjoys being around people, it's been really difficult to find meaning in my work when I feel completely isolated and sort of stuck within these four walls.
And so not having family or friends or coworkers around was difficult. And so that brought feelings of aloneness and some anxiety and fear of what was going to lie ahead, not knowing how long this would last.
So I think that, like many others, if I were to draw up a list of pros and cons, there would probably be several entries in each column. But if I were to make that list, I think that the cons, even if they somehow numbered equally or even less, the cons outweigh every time.
It has no doubt been a challenge both personally and professionally living over the last 2 years in this pandemic.
I think the last 2 years has been a real challenge for a lot of people, you know, in maintaining self-care, in the reality that every few weeks, every few months, things can shift so dramatically, whether it's regarding restrictions, lockdowns, etc. I think it's also a test of our resiliency.
Is the glass half full or half empty? When it's half full, we can acknowledge that challenging circumstances breed resilience and adaptability. Overcoming challenges enables significant individual growth that can positively shape us for the rest of our lives.
I think we need to take the opportunity to really evaluate, you know, what may need to work for me as a form of self-care that is new, is different than what I've done in the past. Things that we used to try for self-care may not work in this season, and it may require some creativity and some flexibility.
One thing I picked up is I picked up a martial art, and at least before everything shut down again, it was really great to actually meet a whole new bunch of people, spend time together at the gym. So you're becoming physically and mentally kind of more healthy.
Personally, I love to exercise, and so no matter how busy my schedule is or how much work I have to do or how many papers I have to write, I always make sure to do some form of physical activity every single day, and that helps my mental health as much as my physical health.
And I also started to look at recipes for cooking, and it's become something incredibly mindful for me. So
it gave me a chance to do something new, and that was to look online for recipes and try new things. And now I follow a chef whose recipes and work I really love.
It's been really, really helpful for my mental health, and it also keeps me physically healthy, which it all goes into a cycle where if you keep yourself physically healthy, it actually helps you mentally.
I try to get out of the house once a day, a walk, a run, or a drive, just to get a different sense of our environment.
I think it's important that we look at rest as something that recharges us. So that might mean something different for everybody. It might mean taking a walk, it might mean reading the Bible or a novel or whatever. But one thing I think it often doesn't mean, actually, is to look at social media or look at media and just be inundated by more anxiety, fear, and anger.
To just be in the moment. I'm doing this one thing and that's it, and that's okay. Or just the narrative that it's okay for me not to do anything right now. Yes, I haven't gotten through my to-do list, but in order to continue working through it, I do actually need to take a break.
My solution has been to divide my work into mini objectives that I can finish in, say, 1 hour of work. And when I do, I allow myself a 10 or 15 minute break where I can do something that I really enjoy doing.
Taking time to enjoy nature, taking time to go on a walk, taking time to do the things that you love, like dancing or singing.
For me, this could be listening to music, going on a walk, or watching a funny video.
Taking time out to perhaps be alone, to listen to music, or watch an opera online. I like the New Age opera with the fusion styles.
Different forms of art therapy have been extremely helpful for me, whether it be painting, sculpting, drawing, working with clay, which is something I've never done before.
I do my best to reflect back on the times that I have been overwhelmed in the past, but I've made it through. So I look back on successes. I look back on as a person of faith where the Lord has helped me get through some really tough times that I did not think I would be able to make it through.
I like the alone time to pray and to reflect.
Prayer and worship as a Christian, those things were very meaningful for me to keep my spirit high and uplifted.
And so for me, some of the things that I've done is to worship, literally like worship my way through times where I feel discouragement, where I felt anxiety.
Giving more time to meditate on the Bible. That's my strategy. When I'm frustrated, I go to the Lord and I read His words and I get comfort and His peace, and that really helps me. And just focusing on Him.
Immediately I turn to God, because pouring out things to Him in prayer just takes so much pressure off of our shoulders, and understanding that the God that we're praying to is the God who made us and loves us unconditionally and cares about everything in our lives.
I remember one time particularly just catching a song, a little part in a song that I just kept on singing over and over again to just counter the anxiety that I was feeling. And it was in those moments that I would sing songs like out loud, and my kids would just be wondering, why am I singing so loud? But I would just repeat those, and that worship is, kind of my battle cry.
To optimize my mental health over the last 2 years living in this pandemic was to spend intentional time with coworkers and as well as my friends online regularly, to really connect and share and uplift each other and laugh and cry even.
Having my own personal therapist, my own personal spiritual director to talk with on a weekly basis has been extremely helpful.
Socially connect at that moment or within those days. Try to do more face-to-face meetings if possible within limits of COVID permission, or even instead of phone calling, Zoom calling, at least see some people.
I do talk to a friend once a week and just share openly some of my concerns and frustrations and successes as well.
So in closing, I would like to thank the students, the staff, and faculty who have taken time to lend their voices to this video, to let people know that we are not alone, we care. During this time, it's important that we reach out in kindness, to listen deeply, to talk thoughtfully, and to share in a way that will allow us to feel well. The Center for Academic Excellence on the campus is here. For those of you who have a mentor or a friend or someone you can turn to, please reach out. For those of you who are new to Canada and you feel that you don't know whom to speak with, nearly every settlement agency in the GTA and surrounding areas have services in different languages. You just have to go to their website and see, and you'll be able to get in touch with someone who speaks your language and be able to share and find someone who will understand. Thank you very much. We are all in this together. We care for each other, and we are here to listen, to assist, and to journey with you. Thank you.